If we handed you a random product and social media network, could you find a market for the product and sell a bunch of them? Or what if you saw a brand new opportunity on social media? Would you know how to capitalize? Or are you going to wait until somebody spoon feeds you the answer? Welcome to the Digital Marketing Misfits Show, where we, a group of experienced marketers, take on ridiculous and often hilarious marketing challenges to put our skills to the test. We also discuss current marketing events, trends we see on social media, and more. Digital Marketing Misfits is like your favorite morning radio show, except we've applied that entertaining style to the often boring subject of digital marketing. So tune in for some pure marketing mayhem as we make marketing fun again on the Digital Marketing Misfits Show. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Digital Marketing Misfits Show, episode 29. I think I counted that right. If it's not, you'll correct me in the comments. But episode 29, we're going to talk about a couple of things tonight. We've got a title, as the title suggests, Education, Lollipops, and Missing Submarines.
There's a missing submarine?
What?
Missing submarine? What's that?
I don't know. I never heard about it.
Well, to be fair, I thought I was living under a rock, and Barb and I found out about the same time, and I was like, man, I'm really behind the eight ball on this one. Like, wow.
Dude, isn't it wild how the internet just brings everything topical? Like, I'll tell you what, TikTok beat the mainstream news on this.
Oh, by a lot.
And again, if you're watching this 3 years down the line, we're talking about the Ocean Gate submersible that is at this point currently still unaccounted for.
Yeah.
Going down to go visit the Titanic.
Davy Jones' locker.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they're definitely taking a tour of Davy Jones' locker right about now.
TikTok and like people have become like self-reporters, right? Or they're basically narrating what's happening in real time, and they're getting it to hundreds and hundreds and millions of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people instantaneously before the media can kind of like put things together and try to, it's really interesting to me how quickly short form and doing people going live on these social media platforms are able to deliver the news.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
go ahead, Barb.
I was just going to say, as I'm writing it down so I don't forget, this is like the perfect example of why building a personal brand is everything. And there's an audience for everything. Like nobody gives a shit about a submersible.
Right.
But it's the fact that it's like you can create content around this topic, and you have a million other people who are creating the same exact content based on the same exact set of facts. But you're going to find people that you gravitate toward, and you want to obsessively watch their TikToks because you resonate with them, you gravitate to them.
Careers are born out of this type of thing.
I wanted to throw that
Careers are born out of this. I'm an idiot. Under the desk reporter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, entire careers, and she's good at it though. I mean, it's not like but it's like somebody will find their voice doing this kind of thing.
Exactly.
Well, I look at you guys follow Nick Drum at all from the East Palestine disaster when that happened.
Yes.
He came out of nowhere. He's a creator out of Pittsburgh. He's an entrepreneur, but his hobby is tracking and just surveying industrial disasters.
Right.
Like that's the strangest hobby I think I've ever heard. He just started making videos on East Palestine when that happened. And his brand, he went from like something, I think it was like 15 or 20,000 followers because he was making like really nerdy entrepreneur content through that disaster. He's like, hey, look, this is my hobby. This is what I think is going to happen. And now we think he's over 250,000.
Yeah.
Like so much so that I think he was invited to a White House press briefing when that was happening because the White House was saying, hey, you distribute the news really, really well, and you've got a platform. You're going to be one of our official outlets that this kind of goes through.
That's wild.
Insane. But what I've also noticed, especially with these disasters and catastrophic events, the creators have to get their info from somewhere because obviously they're not all on scene. Right. What I've noticed, and I figured this out from the last time, was that they're going to Twitter. Yeah. And Twitter is essentially the raw updates, and they follow a select group of people on Twitter. But since Twitter's organic reach is garbage, it doesn't really blow up the Twitter sphere. So what happens? They'll go to Twitter and basically just report on the tweet. And if you're good, you've got like a Philip DeFranco or someone who puts all the B-roll. That basically goes into that short form algorithm, and it's freaking magical.
Mm-hmm. Twitter's the place to find news for real.
Yeah, in real time too. Like boots on the ground are tweeting what's happening right now.
Yes.
And I think even now, sometimes like actual like mainstream reporters, like cable news, will get it on Twitter first, which I think is absolutely wild. Reagan, you're muted.
I think she's on Tiki-Taki.
Oh, that's what she's doing.
Well, I was just telling people to come over here if they wanted. There's a few people over here, like 41 or so.
Oh, nice. Hello, TikTok.
Jeez, I never have 41.
I mean, I think it's awakening this platform of mine. It's coming back from deep, dark shadow band ocean.
Sweet.
Too soon, Reagan.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Ocean.
No.
I also
I didn't make that decision for it to be too soon.
I was about before I forget. I was going to say that this whole sub thing, talking about people grabbing people's collective consciousness. We're marketers all talking about attention. Every single person. 7 out of 10 videos on my FYP are this freaking sub.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's spectacle. I mean, I don't want to say spectacle event because this obviously wasn't a spectacle, but you talk about having noise, and especially when like a new program launches, like we can talk about MRR when that first happened. Every single like that became a spectacle event in its own when that launched, and jumping in front of that noise, whether for or against. Take a contrarian stance, you're going to catch some flack.
What do you know about that topic?
I don't know anything.
What do you know, old boy?
It's buzz in the market. You know, that's what it's a trend, if you will, in trending sounds. It's how you find it to get in front of something and talk about something controversial. If you have an opinion and you're, gradually sharing it already, get in front of an opinion like this and find your spin on it. It's a way to get some people in front of your content.
Dude,
for sure.
I saw this chick make a video about the sub. I can't remember the girl's account. It was like some Chelsea's hot takes or something. I can't remember. But she was comparing the actions of these people on the sub. I think they're like 3 of them are billionaires or 2 of them or something. But she was comparing their actions and like clearly making a decision that was very risky to the Kennedys and like the whole Kennedy curse. But what she was saying is like the Kennedy curse is actually like they found that it was genetic. And I don't know how true this is. This is obviously just found on TikTok, but she was saying that it's like a genetic thing, that they are more likely to take risks, which is why they're like, high profile people and politicians and this and that, but why they die from plane crashes and overdoses and, assassinations and stuff like that. So, but it was just like you were saying, Reagan, like putting your own spin on it, like finding that connections. And even somebody said in the TikTok comment, like never thought I would come here to find a connection to the Kennedy family from this submersible thing. But there's just so many different truths and opinions out there that you can, I don't know, come up with and that people are going to either love or hate, but it's all good exposure.
I mean, there's just so much content you can run within this. And I just think about it from even a videographer's perspective. I've seen that come out, like the videographer for this submarine. I've also seen mentions about, the Titanic IMAX movie that I actually mentioned in our chat that, whatever grade I was in when that came out. And ironically enough, you could take that spin and start talking about like those robots and those cameras and that were used to shoot that and like how they did that. It just goes so far creatively. And I'm not saying you should use a tragedy by any means, but it's also the way of the world, right? Like it's marketing. You need to get in front of the buzz, period. It's like the Super Bowl, right? Like when something happens in the Super Bowl, the most powerful thing you can do is be on Twitter and being live in it. That's a Gary Vee comment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is, well, Super Bowl. No, the Black Friday game on Amazon. So that's going to be another big spectacle event, I'm sure. Jumping in, tweeting, live streaming, doing whatever, getting into that buzz, being top of mind, and just kind of inserting yourself into the collective consciousness. Again, we shouldn't, like I said, you shouldn't have to use a tragedy because that's at the end of the day, this whole sub thing is going to end up probably being a tragedy.
I mean,
they
do
than 99%
banging
chance.
as of today.
What'd you say?
There is banging that they hear in the ocean today.
Although I heard someone say that they had actually the banging that was now they're like, this is regular noise that we can't really think that it's human. That was then ruled out.
Okay.
So I don't know, but again, it's the internet. Anything could happen. You know what I
I
mean?
was watching the press conference that was today, like, I don't know, a handful of hours ago, and they were saying they don't know if it could be people, it could be, the ocean's a noisy place, but they have people, analyzing that sound and that information to try to figure it out. But they did deploy all their assets over to that area to be checking it out. So
it's the aliens taking apart the
I'm like, have you seen the abyss?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, wait.
Hey, Jamar, what are they saying in the professional community, the real world about this? In your world,
I forget we have a maritime professional here.
So, obviously, there are a lot of things that are regulated when it comes to the maritime industry because of, shipping requirements, passenger requirements, whether it be domestic or international, or I should say foreign trade. Submarines is something that's not it's not something that the Coast Guard investigates or I should say regulates. So there are certain types of vessels that are inspected, but that type of submarine is not something that is there's not enough of them, and there's not enough, whether it be because the Coast Guard, they inspect vessels when vessels are making money. So whenever somebody is using a vessel for hire and is carrying passengers, they have to adhere to a certain set of federal regulations to ensure that that craft is safe for use. So because this is an unregulated submarine, they can basically do whatever they want.
Yeah.
He can literally use a PlayStation controller, slap this thing together, and charge people $250,000 a head, and nobody, with zero oversight, nobody's going to tell him what he can and can't do.
Why? How is it not regulated? Like, being that it's a commercial vessel, like, how did it slip through the cracks, or did it only
because nobody's crazy enough, often enough to do this?
Yeah, and there are semi-submersible operations that happen, on the East Coast and West Coast, and probably down in the Caribbean or Florida, I should say. There's probably semi-submersibles that go like 15 feet underwater.
You're talking about like those big glass bottom subs that like people go sightseeing in,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. So those, you have to pay money to go inside those semi-submersible, and those are going to be certificated vessels, right? So there's Coast Guard oversight on those. But when you have something that's been built to go 12,000 feet under the sea, that's just not something that is going to be a regulated vessel.
Dude, what's boggling to me though is that there's more if I want to take 6 people on my boat fishing, there's more oversight there on a 25-foot charter. Yeah.
Because there's a lot more.
Right.
There's a lot more of it. There's literally thousands and thousands and thousands of commercial passenger operations of people running these 40, 50 foot boats, and they take passengers on for hire, and they take them offshore and go and sightsee, or they take them offshore and go fishing, or they do party boat tours or sunset cruises and things like that. So there's so many more of those that it needs to be regulated. Whereas there's only one sub that somebody built to go down 12,000 feet under the water.
And here's a crazy idea too. Before the shit happens, you don't want regulation. Wright brothers,
of course,
the car, all these things probably wouldn't have happened if big old government stepped in and said, whoa, better put a safety label on that ladder step. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of how this evolution has to work. For us.
Well, yeah, it's just like what you were saying, Jamar. It's like deaths have to occur before, red tape gets put up, because otherwise, how would you know if the government or regulatory bodies are overreaching?
Right.
Correct.
If you're just saying, well, this could happen, but it never has in decades. So why would that be a concern?
Well, I think somebody said that this vessels made 10 or 11 trips before to the Titanic.
Yeah,
sure. And that nothing's ever happened yet. Like, did
And
anyone
has.
find Yeah, now it has. Did anyone see that one TikTok where the girl was on Facebook? She like saved for 13 years to be able to do it, and then shared her video from the trip.
Right. Yeah.
Like but the fact though that the companies ran that many expeditions with zero redundancy. Like I don't know, oversight or not, I feel like just you need to build in some sort of redundancy into some systems.
Yeah. If you look at the two major industries, the aviation and maritime industries, you want to talk about redundancy?
Yeah.
It's literally built. There's so many layers built into the process, and there's so much oversight that now how many airline accidents have we had in the last 10 years in the United States?
Yeah.
Not many. Dude, exactly. I build redundancy and fail safes into my sales funnels.
Yeah,
I would know I'd get onto that freaking sub with zero. I can't. That was the first thing we said. Like the hull was probably not pressure trap, or what did you, Jamar? What did you say? Non-destructive to NDT? Is that what it was?
So most pressure vessels. So for us, when we go on, say, if we go on domestic vessels and say it's a towboat and they have a pressure vessel, which is it's just a tank of air, pressurized air, right? That they need to use to sometimes to start engines, right? Or to do, they just need pressurized air.
Yeah.
Those particular pressure vessels have to be inspected and not by, they get inspected by the Coast Guard, but they also need to be inspected by a certified technician saying that pressure vessel is safe to use.
Yeah.
Why? Because in the past, pressure vessels have exploded and done crazy things and stuff like that. So they put that into the Code of Federal Regulations that pressure vessel on this type of vessel must be inspected every X amount of, I think it's like once or twice per 5 years or something like that. So
that's not bad. I thought it'd be more.
Yeah. Do you guys inspect like dive bells and stuff and the hyperbaric stuff from like the saturation divers? Do you guys inspect that too?
In passenger stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm just, part of me in like the implosion scenario, I feel like it might have just been through that many pressure cycles and the metal was just fatigued.
Yeah.
And you would never know that particular pressure vessel, because that's what it is. They built a large pressure vessel to withstand 6,000, what is it? 6,000 pounds per square inch.
6,000 PSI in depth.
So they would have to use non-destructive testing. And there's lots of different ways. There's like magnetic and dye pen, and there's like all these different ways where they would go in with a particular set of equipment and they would check the hull and look for any type of microfractures, because those microfractures, obviously, even at 1,000 feet, it's no big deal, right? Because it's a really thick hull. But at 6,000, I keep thinking that's a crazy number, 6,000 pounds per square inch. At that depth, even a microfracture that's unseen, without any equipment, that's enough to implode the entire vessel. So,
yeah, I had one handy, but to think about 6,000 PSI is take a postage stamp. A postage stamp is about a square inch, and now put 2 cars on top of that postage stamp, and that's how many postage stamps would it take to cover that whole vessel?
In my opinion, I would never have. I mean, for most people, they're like, "Why would you ever get on that thing? It's a death trap."
Yeah,
there's a reason Elon Musk only built spaceships and not submarines, though. Too, he even says it's too risky.
The engineering challenges because really, when you're building for space, you're only building for. Is it negative pressure when the force is going out versus compression? Like Jamar's gonna know. That question's for Jamar, not you, Scott.
Math.
But you're only building for a differential of
only.
But relatively, it's only 100 psi different between atmospheric pressure and versus 6,000.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's a reason why they say that we know more about space than we do our own oceans, right? The reason for that is because the ocean is really fucking big, and it's so deep that we don't really care what's at the bottom of it because we can't get there. Well, for the most part, I guess you can get there.
Nobody. Never mind.
we have NOAA. There's lots of different scientists and professionals. Well, NOAA well, the National Oceanic Administration. So they go and they've used, again, really high sophisticated equipment, and they've mapped and measured, and they've mapped the entire seafloor for the most part, and they've used satellites to do it, and big NOAA ships. We don't send. There's no reason for us to go to the bottom of the ocean ever.
No,
it's because it's inhabitable.
What if we
It's
find
just-
all the minerals for our cell phones down there?
yeah, they find lithium down there. We're gonna be.
Cadmium or whatever.
Well, again, where there's a will, there's a way, right? Because we built these humongous rigs, which are also Coast Guard has oversight over, these huge floating rigs that go and drill down in the Gulf of Mexico and go and pull, what do they call it? Dinosaur, compressed dinosaur bones, right? And they pull oil out of the ground. They figured out a way to drill not only vertically but horizontally under the seafloor so that they could extract oil. So where there's a will, there's a way. If there's if there is a mineral or something that's at the bottom of Marianas Trench where they're like, it could, be highly profitable, somebody's going to figure out a way to go and get it. But we're not going to send humans down to go and do it. We're going to send equipment down.
Yeah, exactly. The whole thing is just mind-boggling. Because I think go ahead, Barb.
I saw a TikTok, and it was an interview with the CEO of Ocean Gate, and he was talking about the little, what's it called? The glass thingy where you look out. What's it called?
The porthole.
The porthole. And it's like 7-inch thick plexiglass, he was saying. And he says that it compresses like 3/4 of an inch down at depth, which is insane. And then it, expands back out when we come to the surface. And he was saying, and the good thing about plexiglass is that when it starts to crack, it'll start to shatter slowly, so and then you can just come back up. And I'm like, how is that your fail safe? How is that your safety measure?
Yeah, I start seeing cracks in the plexiglass. We're too deep.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Nope, we're going to. I can't.
Submarine is something else.
I didn't want to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember here, not that I remember, but because I obviously wasn't there, but I've heard stories of old World War II submariners. They put the clothesline in the engine room, and as it goes down, it compresses, and the string get nah.
Damn.
As I'm thinking about this conversation, I think back to early aviation, right? There were a lot of people, early aviation. So between this is when commercial aviation really started to take off, was the 50s. But there was a lot of people who were afraid to fly, right? Because a lot more planes were crashing. And as there were more regulations that were put in place by the government, there were less and less and less accidents. Because there are no regulations for these type of submarines, when we do put regulations on how they're built and how they're inspected, they will become safer. And then maybe there will be a safer way of being able to go down to depths of 12,000 feet. But what these guys built was not the safest way. I mean, let's call it at its face value. They were doing things very unsafely in a shrewdly built. It worked, but it worked only 10 times before it failed, right? How many times did they fly a plane, right, and crash it before they could actually stay in the air for multiple hours at a time? So this is one of those things where, unfortunately, bad things have to happen before people learn. And if you guys know Elon Musk, his big thing is they literally want to crash rockets, because the only way that they actually they have to learn from the failures. That's the only way you can move your company forward, move your engineering forward, is to take what went wrong and try to prevent those things from happening again. So that's why Elon Musk, when they go to send a rocket up and it blows up, and he's like, that was a great launch. We learned a lot of things. Now we're going to go build it again and see if we can go twice as high or 3 times as high, or take this thing to space. So
wouldn't it be nice to be able to launch multi-$100-million rockets, have it blow up and go, all right, let's just go build another one? I would love to have that kind of budget.
His insurance carrier must hate him.
Yeah.
if they'll even cover it.
Lloyd's. Yeah, somebody will.
That's true.
I get really excited when they take a brand new style engine and a brand new rocket and they take it up and it blows up. And I'm like, man, that's so freaking cool, because 5 or 10 years from now, they're going to take that same rocket and they're going to send it to Mars, right? Because they're just going to figure things out. And that's what's probably going to happen with this. I don't know if anybody's going to be dumb enough to build a submarine like that, but like, who knows? There might be somebody who's like, wow, he was charging $250K a head for 8 hours.
10 times, right?
I could do it for $97.
Recurring though, recurring.
Recurring. I was going to say, what's
Titanic as a service?
What's the what's the upsell, Dom?
You get a seat.
Do you want the pictures from the trip? That's an extra 150.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without the watermark.
Without the watermark, literal or figurative?
That's what I was just thinking.
We're marketers and copywriters. We all have to think of those quick wit. But I mean, bringing it back there too. I mean, Jamar, like you said, the whole like iteration and failing and blowing up is everything. It's not just
everything.
Submarines, rockets. It's businesses, content.
Yes.
Yeah.
This podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when we had 14 wheels on the first show? And we're like, that kind of sucked. That was dragging. We were spinning all kinds of wheels.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, we're still pretty disastrous sometimes, but like that's the
our
whole
brand.
point.
Our brand is disastrous, which is okay. It gives us a lot. It gives us a lot of leeway.
The only thing is when our experiments or businesses fail, nobody dies.
Oh, yeah, and we're not expending tens of millions of dollars in resources on some
no one.
futile mission.
Yeah,
let's be real.
Literal navies are not coming to save us.
If that submarine hadn't gone lost, nobody would have ever known that thing was conducting that operation down to the Titanic. Let's be honest.
No, and they've been doing it for years.
Yep.
No one knew.
Did you see the people that were like they had rescheduled them 3 times over these like years and they're now sued? Oh yeah, that was the one we were talking about last night.
Yeah.
That's just like wild to me that somebody doesn't shut them down at that point when there's an active lawsuit at something of that capacity.
But that wasn't a lawsuit. It was a lawsuit because like the weather wasn't cooperating. I think that's why they didn't launch. Right? It wasn't so much submarine malfunction.
I think they didn't disclose. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, well, $500,000. It was 2 tickets? It was like a guy and his wife, right? It was like 2 tickets.
Well, and that dude that basically was like a whistleblower, or he was trying to bring safety issues to their attention.
The engineer.
He was immediately fired, and then kind of aired out everything in that lawsuit, which settled out of court. But I'm just like, I don't know. So yeah, those waivers that they signed, everyone on that vessel that said, we might die, are irrelevant if the company knew about safety issues and still did it anyway. Like that's not a legally binding contract if you're acting in bad faith like that. Not that they can necessarily like sue the CEO at this point, but
it'd be hard to subpoena him to court. But but it's I think the one CEO did say at one point, like, at some point, safety is a waste. He's like, you shouldn't worry about like what? No, I don't know. I just everything about it seemed just really, really sketchy.
Yeah,
at best.
Yeah,
like sketchy at best.
Sketchy at best. Speaking of things that suck, this is a good segue.
The Lollipops.
Yeah, the Lollipops. Yes. So talk about this. Go to the creative branding and copywriting. So my 4-year-old, she was not feeling well. Had a sore throat. So I was like, it's not like, it wasn't like crazy. They don't make apparently like just sore throat medicine. It's always attached to like 4 other symptoms. So I found these lollies, which were like kid lollipops that have the sore throat medicine in them. And then talking about copy. So this is speaking directly to your audience. Let me bring this up here. Window. This one. If you guys can see that here. So basically it's showing on here. It says, we got you moms and dads. Be ready for almost anything with Mommy's Choice. Organic remedies, supplement lollipops. Perfect, right? So that we know that their audience here is moms and dads, parents. But the next one here, the closest I get to a spa day is when the steam from the dishwasher smacks me in the face. That is so much.
That's called laser targeting.
100%. Someone who bought this, I was like, this is like, you're never going to forget this.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, oh, they get me. Just speaking to them.
That's speaking the tribal language of your avatar right there.
Yeah. I mean, I just figured I would share that. And the other thing, speaking your target language and kind of in the whole like staying in collective consciousness all the time is this picture. This is actually the Roku screen. Everyone has Roku? Has like that city that goes by? Well, it seems McDonald's did a brand deal with Roku, and right between the Ghostbuster Firehouse and Roku headquarters, they put a McDonald's there. And I didn't even notice it. It was my oldest that noticed it. She goes, "Hey, there's the French fry place." I was like, "What?" And like I caught like the tail end of the building, and she's like, "No, wait for it to come back around again." So I stood watching the Roku city go by for like 10, 15 minutes, and this came by to get the picture. I'm like, "There is a McDonald's." She's like, well, "Can we get French fries for lunch now?"
But if you're not watching the Roku screen go by at least once a day, like what are you doing?
Like, who are you even? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No, they say that there are like 20 movies or something.
Yeah.
Like if you look at like
Titanic.
Yeah, I was gonna say how apropos. Yeah, there's the Titanic. There's
Sinking.
Yeah.
Submarine. Hunt for Red. I think that's Hunt for Red October though.
On the one that's like the beach, there's like Johnny Depp running on the beach.
Oh, is that what that? I thought that was it Wilson, Castaway?
That's what I was
Johnny
thinking
Depp.
too.
It looks like Johnny Depp because of the way he's running, like
yeah, with the arms up. Yeah.
Yeah, like ironically, you know, all the things we talk about on this podcast right now, we're talking about on the Roku screen. So
This is
it's
just
like we're
foreshadowing.
onto something here.
But yeah, I just wanted. I mean, it was this was not, and I was gonna bring this up here because that's not like a hey, go buy French fries now, 50% off. That's just a gentle nudge of like, hey, we exist.
Mhm.
Also, the person with Cheeto fingers that's sitting on the couch and that is scrolling by on their screen because they forgot what they were doing. That's just going to remind them to place that order on their phone to come over to the house and get that. And it's just such a gentle nudge. It's just about that omnipresence and showing up in the right places, right? And that's
Where
the
your
exact
audience
right
lives.
place for Cheeto fingers.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
what is our core demographic doing right now? Smoking in front of the TV, waiting to place that DoorDash order.
Yeah, they're getting the munchies at 2 a.m. and they're gonna be like, oh well, let's just kind of go across the screen. The golden arch is there.
Exactly. Genius.
Or
Subliminal.
their toddler is watching it because that's one of their favorite things to watch, and they just go, "Hey, it's lunchtime."
It's very indirect marketing, right? It's just like it's just there, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. I mean, with us, we're obviously the first 30 minutes of this podcast, we're marketers, but like we weren't talking about marketing. We're talking about submarines. If you just keep seeing stuff everywhere, it's just like, oh, hey, we exist. And someone's gonna be like, oh, who are those guys that we're doing? I want to learn marketing from. And you might just see us talking about a submarine or something or commentary. It doesn't always have to be buy my shit, buy my shit, buy my shit. Like we see so many people in our industry do all the time. Doesn't have to be the case. When you're just be there, just show up, create something, get your face and your message out there.
I was actually just watching a video from Jackson Tips about this, and he was talking about the style of vlogs that you do, and like that's what is working now because people want that relatable content. They're tired of text on screen. Maybe it works in some capacity. Maybe you have a little bit of people in that audience that want to be able to take a screenshot of your stuff and move on. But people want the substance of who you are. They want to see the intertwinings, and they want to hear your voice telling that story of whatever it is that makes your story relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like a really cool spin on it. And I liked where he went with it because it it's that exact thing that we talk about in building a personal brand and that we always seem to harp on at least once an episode or more, and the power of it, right? Because I mean, espresso is my new hobby. So like, why not throw up my camera and like make some content about it? Cause like one, I can't survive without it. And then like,
You do have like 4 espresso machines. I've noticed.
great. Do what?
Yeah, I know you have like 4 espresso machines.
I'll get 2.
It's just when you're making, I'm like, that's a serious coffee setup from someone who doesn't drink
2,
coffee.
and then that big thing beside it is a nugget ice maker. But I bought the machine ironically because I was just going to get espresso martinis at brunch too often. So I was just like, I'll make them at home. Let's try it. Whatever.
Do that for a
And
year. You
now
might
I'm
be able to
just
buy a house.
Stuck. What'd you say?
And just like that, now I can afford a mortgage.
Exactly. I said if you just make
Well, this
espresso at home
sounds-
for a year, you'll have a house.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
I
where I'm
always
at.
thought it-
Like I told Tay, I was like, babe, do you realize how much I spend on coffee? Because it's not just mine that I get, because I don't share with you. I get you your own because I can't share. And she was like, oh my God, it is at least $20 every single time you go there. And I was like, yep. I don't really care. That's not even like why I did it, because I'm just I can't live without my coffee. So on those days, like I'll still get it, buy the coffee, like anti Dave Ramsey over here.
Word.
We're all about Dave Ramsey slander on this
Oh my
podcast.
gosh.
We're all about anybody that's giving you real substance and not hating on any lifestyle that you are in, and just build your thing, be happy in your thing.
Yeah. And if enough people like your thing, they'll want to follow your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
if
then
you don't
you're
know
gonna
what
have
that thing is,
influence.
that's fine. Just create the content anyway.
Yes. Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. I mean, short form interest-based algorithm, it'll find the people. I've said this ever since I probably 2 years into the car business. People are not unique. I don't care. Like when they tell you, oh, everyone's unique and you're only one you, like kind of BS. There are at least 100 people who have the same tendencies, the same weird quirks. Like marketers split people into demographics and segments for a reason. It's because they're there.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you don't know anybody like you in your immediate like offline circle of friends, like throw your shit on TikTok. Watch where the algorithm brings back. Because how many times do we see on a post where it's someone talks about some weird quirk or something specific about being neurodivergent, and everybody in the comments is like, oh, so I guess we're all here. Every single
Yeah.
person with this is here. Like that's just how the world works now, is
Mhm.
just find each other, like us, 5 marketing nerds.
Somewhat related, but also somewhat unrelated. But Reagan, did you finish watching The Ultimatum?
No. But I caught all the snippets in TikTok, so I'm caught up.
Okay.
It's
Wow.
better to watch on. I'm the person that I'm like, okay, like too much. It was wildly uncomfortable for me to watch at a certain
Yes.
point that I was just like,
Yeah.
I can't watch it anymore. I can't.
It was painful.
But short form content I can watch it in, because not only do you get the commentary that everybody else is already thinking, right? Like relatable thoughts.
Mhm.
And this is, again, we try to make it about content over here and marketing. Like it's a very trending thing when stuff like this comes out. So I was able to catch up.
So I was just thinking, like, think of the weird, quirky things that you love, and then, like, for example, we could have a NCAA women's basketball tournament, like highlight show, and be throwing out references about like Queer Ultimatum or the Submersible or whatever. But that content is going to reach a very specific audience that is going to resonate with that. And they're going to be like, I didn't think anyone else liked this and this and was like crazy about it like me. And it might only be 1,000 people, but you don't need the whole world. You just need that 1,000 people who are like psychotic about your content.
Was it 1,000 True Fans? Is that the name of the book? Jamar, Jamar quotes that one, I think, but it looks like he's lagging in and out. But yeah, 1,000.
Yes.
I mean, 1,000 people to give you $1,000 is $1 million. If you're looking at selling something online, all it takes is 1,000 people who are like you said, psychotic about our shit.
Yeah, that's all it really takes is putting out content, attracting the right audience. It could be just 1,000 people, and if you have something valuable enough to share with them, and they view what you have to share as equally as valuable, you charge $1,000 and 1,000 people buy, you're a millionaire.
Yeah, not to sound like a guru, but I don't mean it's not easy, but it's not complicated.
Yeah, I
People
think it's
confuse simple with easy. I'm not
Yeah,
going to be
it's-
that one guy's like, oh, it's easy to make $1 million, because it's not.
it's overcomplicated because people don't think that the skills that they have are relatable to other people. And here's a great example. When I think about that is I came across like when those like Business Insider, or like those things that scroll on Facebook, where they do like this random side hustle, this they pulled, you guys know the Excel chick from that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She literally just makes TikToks about how to do things in Excel. Well, she took her skill, which isn't like, I mean, anybody can go and get good at Excel, right?
Mhm.
There's even like college classes, right, where you can go and just learn how to be better at Excel. Well, she took that skill and packaged it into a course, and she even has she's got like monthly recurring packages that she's put into it, but she makes roughly, it's something like $100,000 a month.
Damn.
And all she does is teach Excel. Come on, let's be honest. Most of us know the very basics of Excel. She knows how to do it really well, and other people want to know how to do it really well. So you take the two, she creates content, realizes there's a market for people who want to learn how to do Excel really well, and then she packaged it into a course and sells it. And that's she makes $100,000 a month doing it. And she loves Excel, which is great for her. I hate crunching numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have two people in our little circle that, when they were starting the MMO space and they were not having as much fun or success, it's like, hey, you really like barbecue. Why don't you do that? And they finally did. And now they're blowing it out of the water. And then another person with sourdough bread. And they're like, I had no idea there were so many people. Well, yeah. There's so many people that are rabid about so many different unique things on this planet that you can enjoy it. And son of a gun, you can make money too.
Well, out of 100 million people in a pot, there's most likely there's going to be a couple 100,000 that are into making sourdough fucking bread. You just pull them out, right? You literally just create the content and you pull them out of the pot and just put them in your pot. You just keep serving them content. And then at some point they'll buy books they'll buy books you put out. They'll buy, supplies, they'll
pack or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Slow marinade.
Yeah. And what I was thinking of when I heard about that sourdough is this, like, man, all you'd have to do is put together a subscription box of all of the things that you need to make sourdough bread. And then with it, you could put maybe like you could put a little card in there with a QR code. And when they scan the QR code, it takes them to like a special page, right? And it's a video of you basically walking them through the steps of what came in the box for that specific type of sourdough bread. And walks them all the way through the process, right? You could sell that in a subscription box for $50 a month.
I mean, cocktail cards.
You're taking one of these cocktail cards every single month, but rather than giving you 100 in a box, it's like sending. Well, you can't obviously
one at a time.
One at a time with the
one at a time
every single month.
And then you collect a whole box, like make it a collector's thing.
And then you upsell it and you say, come bake with me.
Yeah.
And you do a live stream monthly.
Oh yeah.
That they can hop on.
Like, I feel like people overcomplicate this.
Yeah. Well, remember, we were talking big about collecting the box barb. Did anyone remember like those big books of the state quarters?
Yes.
We were younger. Like that was created just to get young kids interested in like collecting currency.
In coins. Yep.
Yeah. That was a whole ass thing, and it worked.
Those guys, TikTok channels that like the people who just do coins and like talk about coins. Dude, I came out like for whatever reason, the FYP was like, it just showed it to me one day when I'm not even into coins, but I got caught watching for like 10 or 15 minutes because the guy was going way in depth about why this particular dime was, instead of it being worth 10 cents, it was worth like $1,000 because of how it came from the mint. Like when it got minted, there was something where where the guy's hair was like messed up or the number was like backwards or something. And he's like, there's only like 10,000 of these in circulations before they recognize that there was an issue, but they're in circulation. So if you find one, it's worth $1,000. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Inside the room, there was like 1.7 thousand people watching. There were 1,700 people watching this guy. And I'm like,
yeah. Well, I
I
think I was on one stream like that because the guy goes every week and he goes and changes like $50 and gets 10 rolls of quarters. And he's like, oh, we're going to go hunting and we're going to see what we have. And what's this and what's that? And I'm like, fascinated. I spent like yeah. I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, I got to get like, where's all my change now? I got to go through. Like, I was like, where's my change jar?
So that guy could put a course together and basically teach people how to effectively go out and what resources they should be using, how to, effectively solicit from the right places, bags of coins, or where to find old coins or things like that. He could put a course together. And to those 1,700 people that are watching, you only really need like 25, 10, I would say 10 to 20 per live, and sell a course for a couple $100. People are going to spend the money if they're really into that type of hobby.
Yeah. I think, does anyone follow Nicholas Crown or is it just me? I know he share his stuff on our channel all the time.
Faces. I need faces when you say
all right.
that.
He's got the really big, thick rim glasses and the mustache. He was ex-Wall Street trader. And now he makes AI stuff. Rich versus really rich. All right, whatever. But you guys, Nicholas Crown, go follow him. He does rich versus really rich skits. But he posted on his Facebook story the other day, and one of his thing was that his like predictions about the next 10 years, and number 6 was elite education will not come from universities. Come from people like this.
Yeah, people who have 10, 20, 30 years, because there's people on TikTok that like share their not side hustles, but hobbies. And there are people who just had a passion for they're like what do you call them? Mine detectors or whatever, or not mine detectors. They're metal detecting, right?
Yeah.
But there's an old guy that I once again, the FYP shows me this stuff. And I'm like, why are they showing me this? It's like a 65-year-old guy in England. And he like goes around and it's like stuff that he finds. That's like super, super old stuff that he finds. And in my head, I'm like, dude, this guy has probably been doing this because he just loves finding old stuff. But he's been doing it for probably 30, 40 years. That's the guy you want to learn from, right? Like if you want to learn how to do something, you learn it from somebody who's been doing it for 40 years.
Think about it like in a prime at which Jason was here for this. Jason, we hope you are feeling well.
Yes.
Or better. But it's like the trades. You want to learn from, you want to have your apprentices learn from your people that have been there the longest. And the best way to learn anything and do anything is to do it, and learn from the skills. So learn from the experience yourself and learn how to package it. It's like lemonade stand TikTok, right? Like that is a prime example of how to literally turn what you're doing and learning from it into an absolute business that's thriving. And now she's going to pharmacy school. Does she even need to go to pharmacy school? Like that stuff's incredible to me. Like
I feel like you should go to pharmacy school. I don't think it,
Yeah, not every skill.
There's a few things that you should go to college for.
I want my doctor.
No, I meant does she she doesn't even need to go to school now. Like that was my point.
Okay.
My point is like she went ahead and built this whole thing for herself. So it's also going to work for her while she's at school, right? Like she started this whole thing shaking up lemonade. It needed something to work for her outside of shaking the lemonade. So now it's also going to work for her when she starts into her pharmacy business. Now she has a way to talk about pharmacy, like if you've seen pharmacy TikTok, right? And how they incorporate things in education. I love seeing a doctor or any type of somebody with medical knowledge, like make it real and explain it like I'm 5, right? So like imagine her being able to twist that into her content. Now she's already made it relatable. So it's all just about recording the true, genuine process you're on and building your thing. Don't try to copy someone else's.
No. Although I've seen, funny you talk about like medical people explain it like you're 5. Did anyone see the orthodontist with the mullet? I think it's called Your Scumbag Dad is his handle. Like, dude, like, let me pull this up because this guy, I mean, he's an and he explains, like, goes medical TikTok and explains it in like layman's terms. But like other times, he's just making like grungy scumbag dad content, and every once in a while, I'll see like one of his orthodontal posts and be like, I keep forgetting this guy's like an actual whole ass dentist.
I wish I could be on your TikTok, Dom. I don't know.
See, I keep a burner account for this reason.
My TikTok is telling me how much I can make promoting Legos and work from home jobs.
Dude, all right. My main marketing TikTok is nothing but alpha dude white guy podcasts.
Yo, there's a way you can refresh your FYP.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
What'd you say?
I'm talking about the other group.
But yeah, I'm just, my main marketing is just effed. I do not like my main FYP, but I have a burner account that's like really, really cool.
There's a way you can refresh your FYP.
How do you do that?
I can't do it right now. I mean, yeah, I can. I can totally get off.
Well, you're live right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
I just leave it on Submarine TikTok for a long time, and I walk away, and I'm hoping that tricks the algorithm. But it hasn't yet because it keeps going back to nobody's talking about this remote job that will pay you $75 an hour.
So I actually, when I had to redo this TikTok here, I was on an FYP that was speaking a different language. And I was like, I don't know how I ended up here. I didn't click any of Jason's things. So I'm like, I'm confused. And then I'm just tinkering around in the settings to try to figure something out. And I found a button that said like refresh FYP and it was great. And then I cleared the cache and I just said, let's see what happens.
Yeah. This is the guy I was talking about. He's an orthodontist.
Oh my god!
And he's making sub content. I was like, "What?" But yeah, here's one where he's talking about this. Came across my page, and then like he explains how that device works. I'm not going to subject you for a minute and a half of it.
Wait,
like,
I want to know what the hell is going on.
Are you ready? You really want to subject everyone else?
Yeah.
All right, comment yes if you want to hear it.
Y'all better say yes.
I think they are saying. I don't know. They're on a 25-second delay, so I'm going to assume that they said yes. Here come all the yes.
Oh, that was not
There's
25
all the
seconds.
yeses. There's Scotty. I don't think you should sound.
Oh, hold on. I'll share sound. Hold on.
There's a yes and a yes.
All right. We're there. We're good. Hold on.
Good thing he had to reset it anyway. Right in misfit fashion.
100%. Over here. All right. Down.
Tag to talk about this appliance, which is called a Herbst. This appliance is cemented into the mouth and has these two pistons that essentially push the lower jaw forward. This blue stuff right here is called band lock, and it's used to open the bite. This means that when the patient bites down, not all the teeth touch, and it's easier to sort of shift things around. It also reduces breakages of the braces. I'm going to show you how this is generally used in an extreme case, and this is called a class 2 bite. I want you to notice how small the patient's chin looks right here. And next, I'm going to direct your attention to the orientation of these molars. The upper one is slightly in front of the lower, which is a defining element of the class 2. This patient got a Herbst that was essentially mounted to the bone with mini implants. After 10 months of work, the lower jaw was essentially forced forward, and the class 2 was corrected. Take a look at this molar relationship and compare it to the one here at the beginning. Herbsts don't work in all cases. Sometimes they're just brutal and the patient doesn't tolerate them well, so I don't use them that often, but they are used very commonly.
Oh my god. I thought my braces were bad. No.
Nope.
I just learned something new today. This is the exact reason why TikTok is an amazing thing, is because you can learn amazing things that you never thought that you would like to learn about from random people who you'll never ever meet in any other shape or fashion, right? From a dude with a mullet, you can learn what the heck that thing was in her mouth. And the next time, if you ever see somebody with that, you can be like, I know why that is. It's because they're trying to push her bottom jaw forward.
Yeah. I'm sitting there. I'm like, now an account like this, how many times do we have people come on and they go, I want to talk about 2 different types of things. What should I do? Talk about them both.
Right.
It literally does not matter. If you are on the camera, you can talk about cooking and dogs or whatever 2 random interests that people come to us all the time.
It's just easier to get started in one because you don't overwhelm yourself with
That's
the
what I
how.
was literally just thinking. Yeah. So if you're a beginner marketer and you're like, wait, but you told me that what Reagan just said.
But yeah, I mean, but don't make 2 accounts.
But it's
Make
also
one
going to
account.
help you grow faster in that capacity too. Like if you think about it, right? Like it's like shooting a basketball. The higher you throw it above the hoop, the bigger the hoop actually gets in the capacity of you making the ball.
Because of the angle.
Indeed.
Wait,
So
what? Say that one more time.
It's like the greater the surface area for you to make the shot because of the trajectory versus if you're shooting
Have it.
like a flat shot, it has to be perfect.
If you hit the box, it's going to go in 9 times out of 10.
Not at the state fair.
hit the box.
Yeah, the box is there for a reason.
That's
Tim
it.
Duncan made a Hall of Fame career by hitting the box every time.
I hate Tim Duncan. Passionately.
He's like the boringest basketball player ever.
He was the biggest flopper,
Yeah.
save for LeBron. Let's be real.
LeBron's a pretty big flopper.
Oh yeah.
Tim Duncan that was constantly the look on his face, just like big bugged out eyes of like, what are you afraid of? Like you're freaking 7'2" or whatever. Like
Clip that.
You had
Yeah,
the
that's a
Naval
clip.
Academy.
Anyone on
bro.
Twitch, you got to clip that. But I mean, yeah. But again, boring. We come back. This is another theme. Tim Duncan being the most boring basketball player ever. Hall of Fame career. Boring products sell. And I mean, not boring content. Don't be boring in your content, but you can talk about boring subjects in an exciting way.
Mm-hmm.
But you could also like be boring in a funny way. When you think about the girl that redid all the logos for like, well, your logo really sucks. So I went ahead and redid it for you. This really didn't make sense to me because you're a bear and bears like to go camping or whatever the heck that she would talk about. Like, it's just, you can have a fun spin on it. And you can also like, embrace your inner weird, as I call it. Like embrace it and let that be what you show up in as your content. And then you're going to create a whole community of people that like you've wanted to show up like your entire life that embrace like that other side of you. So like, it's like this life fulfilling thing.
Yeah, dude, the way that girl Emily, she just deadpans everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's a talent. That's a skill. Because like how I want to know whether she's able to do those in one take. Like, I noticed you had this. I'm going to change this. I have a degree in marketing and design. I'm going to do like, and it's just the most ridiculous stuff. How many takes, or does she just have that one of those people that can just keep a straight face and say the most ridiculous stuff? Because I can't. I laugh and I grin way too much.
Never make it through.
If I'm just filming it with myself, though, like I could totally do it. Like, because it's weird filming content by yourself. So like, embrace it. Like, make it be a little bit funny that you just already feel uncomfortable in front of the camera. Like, what if you just got in front of the camera and you were like, wow, I feel really uncomfortable doing this. Like, just own it. Like, there's just something funny about it. Just create the content. That's the hardest part, right? Like,
hit the record button.
That's it.
The algorithm will find your friends. Promise.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it long enough. You'll find your people. Talk about what you want to talk about. Speaking of boring stuff, did everybody buy their furniture yet?
I
did. Mine just showed up yesterday. It takes freaking forever to ship.
I've got a box behind me. It's here.
Yep, mine's set up and posted, and I didn't do it until I did it 2 days ago, and then I realized I misspelled something, so then I had to retag it, and now it's live.
I gotta post mine. I recorded yesterday. I set it up, and it was something we semi needed, so it wasn't.
It had a good banana score. It had good everything. So I'm feeling good about this. I'm feeling good.
Watch us all end up on like the same thing.
No.
I don't think anyone bought what I bought.
Is it a breast pump again?
No,
Is it?
but it's
'Cause you're
very
right.
specific. I'm not going to say this
Toddler
is
bed.
Is it indoor or
Nailed it.
outdoor furniture?
indoor. This is indoor.
You can totally do outdoor furniture. That's
You
fine.
could, yeah. I mean, anything.
Why not?
Yeah.
There's some great scores out there.
Guessing Jamar didn't actually buy his thing yet.
I have
You
not
got a
bought my
lot
thing.
going on.
I've
Yeah,
been
true.
injured the last week and a half, so I'm
Plus
going to
the-
get around to buying something.
In other
at
words,
some point.
we'll update
And
you
the
in a couple
commercial.
weeks.
Jason's still gonna probably pull out ahead with 5,000 clicks and everything. Going,
with like a
I was
permanent
coming off the morphine.
body.
Yeah, he'll be like a bionic man. Here I am with my 1 million sales a month.
Yeah, I got this ottoman that lifts your leg and does physical therapy, and it's perfect. Sold 400 a day, and no one knew about it. But yeah, that's about a. So should we extend it again? Are we going to keep it the same 4 weeks, or are we going to extend it because of the crazy shipping times on certain furniture?
No,
Because my shit did not come prime at all.
2 weeks. We'll find out in 2 weeks.
Okay, we will find out in 2 weeks.
Because that's 4 weeks.
That is 2 weeks plus 2 weeks is 4 weeks.
All
I thought
There's
there
the
would be no
math
math.
lesson.
Math lesson. All right. Guys, we really need an outro. Hey, thanks for listening. If you like this episode, please leave us a review, or better yet, take a screenshot on your phone, post it to social media, and tag us, Digital Marketing Misfits, or just use the hashtag Digital Marketing Misfits. And for extra bonus content you can't get anywhere else, go to Digital Marketing.